guys, it's Jen. This is another Jenna Zen episode of Reframing Me, and I am your host, Dr. Jennifer Brubaker. In these short bits, I give you something to meditate on or journal about. Today, I'd like you to think about this. When we allow ourselves to live in harmony, we stop seeing life as something to control and start seeing it as something to just enjoy. For as long as I can remember, I have always felt torn between all of the different facets of who I am, all of the different aspects of my personality, like being chill and carefree and fun, yet also super responsible and disciplined and organized. I can remember back in probably fifth or sixth grade, binge reading all the presidential biographies that I could get my hands on and all the Sweet Valley High books. As an adult, I am so many different things. I play so many different roles. I have so many relationships to maintain, so many goals to achieve. And it feels like there's a constant negotiation of how much weight to put on each one, how much time and energy to devote to each, how much of me to put onto each one. And then, as if that isn't hard enough to figure out, it's constantly changing, right? I know for me, just my 3 kids alone, so not factoring in literally anything else. Someday one needs me more, and some days another one needs me more. And some days one needs my time, and maybe another one needs my attention, and maybe the third, maybe they're super low maintenance that day. But then the next day, that child could be the one who needs the most out of me. And then add in my husband to the mix, what he needs, what he expects, what he wants from me, and my parents, and my 4 bonus children, and their 4 individual needs of me. And don't forget friends, although unfortunately, I feel like sometimes I forget friends. But we need to factor our friends in too, even though, like mine, they're usually easy because they have similar demands placed on them. So they understand. And that's why for me, they often tend to fall to the wayside because I know that they understand. But I don't want them to fall away. So I need to factor them in too. And then there's work, right? Because all of that, that's just a home or a personal life. Well, you know what? I can't even say home, right? Those are just the relationships at home, not all that needs to be done or I'm responsible for at home. But there's work, there's my teaching, my research, the podcast, writing, planning projects for the future, balancing academia with my more passion projects, balancing what I need to do right now and what I'm building for the future. And I can't forget about me in there, right? Self-care and wellness and fitness. And again, balancing requires us to negotiate the quantities of attention or time or energy on each and every single day. It's no wonder that we're so very exhausted, not just from the actual doing of all of this, but from the constant negotiation of the weight that we are going to put on each one, trying desperately to adjust from moment to moment to maintain that balance. And even with all of this effort, it's very hard to maintain. My oldest was home this weekend studying for his econ exam. He's a double major. He's with us in communication studies and also over in business. And he's been struggling with econ. So he was concerned. And of course, he was complaining that it was just so hard and he doesn't like econ and maybe he shouldn't even be a business major, blah, 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 whatever. I'm like, I was literally an econ major. So it is in your blood. Besides, you can't only take classes and do things that you're good at. Sometimes it's good to challenge yourself. Anyway, he texted me just a little bit ago to tell me how great he did on his exam. And he also said something like, it makes me feel good because I don't feel like I'm as specialized as a lot of people are, and that he likes being broad in his knowledge or something like that. And he's right. That concept of being a well-rounded human, it gets lost somewhere. It doesn't mean that he has to be equally good at one thing as he is at another. But being diversified is so much better than being one-dimensional. All of us need those various aspects of ourselves to become our favorite version of us. But we have a hard time accepting that we're not going to be equal in all of those different parts. Yet somewhere we start to expect that we need to be. Balance is fragile and very precarious. It's something that is challenging to attain and really, really difficult to sustain. Yet, so many of us, especially women and very especially moms, but we strive day in and day out to try to get that balance. And when we do reach it, there is that brief moment of peace when all feels right with the world. We feel that sense of contentment, of control, of accomplishment. We feel good about ourselves. But typically, as quickly as it happens, it is gone again. One unexpected phone call. I mean, my God, it's 2025. Text me like a normal person, please. But one unexpected phone call or email or traffic situation or a spot on the shirt that we plan to wear or someone else in the house comes home in a bad mood. And y'all, it just all falls apart. Somehow the balance, it is gone. I mean, I swear I never realized just how much I'm hanging on by a very fraying thread until I spill my coffee. And that is when I realized just how precarious that balance is. But that still doesn't keep us from how often we talk about that elusive balance, whether it's work life balance or emotional balance or balance in parenting, balance in relationships. Balance is the goal we're always striving for. And yet, I know I can't help but feel like to me, it feels like chasing a finish line that keeps moving. No matter what I do, how far I feel like I've come, true balance never really seems to arrive. So I've started realizing that maybe balance isn't the goal after all. Maybe what we're actually after is harmony. Because balance is rigid. It suggests that things have to be held in equal measure, that those scales have to be perfectly even, that the pieces of our lives have to be distributed without tipping too far in any direction. Harmony, though, harmony allows for some movement. It allows for some creativity. Harmony lets some parts of our lives be louder while other parts fade into the background for a while, and then to shift again when the moment calls for it. It's like in music. If you had just a balanced chord, it's boring, or it might feel static or stuck. But if you have harmony, harmony is alive. Harmony flows. Harmony gives space for each note to be heard, even as they work together to create something bigger. Or when you're cooking or baking, you're not putting equal parts of ingredients in, right? Your recipe might call for a cup of flour, a tablespoon of oil, a teaspoon of salt, and that works perfectly, maybe even deliciously. But if you had put a cup of flour, a cup of oil, a cup of salt in, that'd be super gross. But that would be balanced. And I thought balanced was what we wanted. I thought balanced is what we drive ourselves crazy trying to attain, run ourselves ragged. Life is a constant paradox of roles and responsibilities and emotions, feeling a mix of both sadness and gratitude, excitement and fear, feeling cautious enthusiasm. And then sitting in this space that we're in right now, this midlife, we're raising teens and helping aging parents, two ends of the same spectrum unfolding at once. We're feeling young and old at the same time. We're feeling torn between the two, yet somehow squished somewhere in the middle. I know that chasing balance always makes me feel like I'm failing. How do you balance grief with gratitude, loss with possibility? But if we shift towards harmony instead, we can see how both belong. They can coexist. They do not cancel each other out. Harmony will give us permission to hold that both and, to say, I can be excited for the future and sad for what's ending. I can feel the weight of dependence and the gift of togetherness. I can be frustrated that projects don't move as fast as I want and grateful that I get to create them at all. And that's the real difference. Balance demands a resolution to something, but harmony invites the coexistence of many things. It doesn't mean that harmony is passive. It doesn't mean just sitting back and letting life play out. Harmony asks us to step into our role in our life, to bring our note or our voice or our instrument, ourselves, our purpose into the mix. Because at the end of the day, balance is much too fragile. But harmony is resilient. It holds the full spectrum. It makes room for it all. And when we allow ourselves to live in harmony, we stop seeing life as something to control and we start seeing it as something to join. And maybe that's the shift that we need to practice. Learning to step out of the endless striving for balance and instead step into the practice of harmony. Because balance just makes us feel like we're tightrope walkers, like wobbling along, stretching out our arms, terrified that with one wrong move, everything is going to go crashing down. But harmony reminds us that we are musicians in an orchestra. Sometimes our instrument leads, and sometimes it falls quiet, but it always matters. Sometimes we're the flower, and sometimes we're the dash of salt. Harmony helps us to move through these transitions of midlife because midlife is rarely neat and very rarely evenly distributed. One day, we're sitting in joy watching our kids stretch into their independence. And the next, we're pulled into the heaviness of a quiet house. One week, we feel energy and clarity. And the next, we're weighed down by fatigue, by hot flashes, or the invisible weight of everyone else's needs. If balance is the goal, all of that fluctuation feels like we're a failure. But if instead we frame it as harmony, we can see how each piece of it has its place in our life. It allows us to be gentler with ourselves. Balance tells us that we need to give equal time to exercise and work and parenting and our relationships and all of the rest, which, if you have tried to do that, that is impossible. But harmony says that, you know what? Maybe today calls for more stillness. Or maybe this season asks for more creative work and fewer social commitments. Or maybe right now you're the background noise, steady and supportive. And later you're going to get your chance to go and be the solo again. Nothing is wasted because it all belongs. The truth is, we cannot live life in perfect ratios. Some of us are living in 2, 3, 4 different roles at once, professionals and parents and caretakers and friends. Some of us are rebuilding careers, rediscovering passions, navigating entirely new identities. None of it will ever be equally balanced, but it can be harmonized. It can flow, it can shift and adapt without demanding that every piece looks the same. And harmony, it gives us hope Because harmony doesn't deny the hard parts. It doesn't pretend that we can simply positive think our way into a perfect day. Instead, it holds space for contradictions. Harmony says grief and joy, they can both be there side by side. Harmony says that love, it can be fierce, even when the circumstances of it are messy. Harmony says that meaning can be made in the middle of tension, not only once the tension resolves. And maybe that's a real invitation for us here in midlife. Not to achieve balance like it's some final exam that we need to keep trying, but we always manage to fail. Maybe instead, it's the realization that we can cultivate a harmony. We can learn to let the different notes of our lives play together instead of competing against one another, to let them rise and fall in their very own time, to trust that even when we feel like we're only offering a faint background hum, we are still part of something that is larger and more beautiful. So if you also feel like balance keeps slipping through your fingers, I want to remind you, first of all, you are not alone because I am too, but you are also not failing. All it means is we're human. And maybe the measure of our success isn't how evenly we've distributed our energy, but instead how we are allowing all of the parts of our lives to play. Harmony is forgiving. Harmony is flexible. Harmony is strong. And harmony is available to us every day, even when balance is absolutely out of the question. So the next time that you feel like you have dropped a ball or spilled the coffee or missed the mark, pause and breathe and just remind yourself that sometimes harmony allows for imperfection and improvisation. Remind yourself that every note matters, even if some of them ring louder than others. And then you can step back into the rhythm of your life, knowing that you don't have to make it perfect. You don't have to make it balanced. You only have to make it yours. Because when we live in harmony, we stop exhausting ourselves trying to hold everything equal. And we start discovering how good it feels to let it all work together. That's where peace lives. That's where contentment lives. That's where joy lives. And that's where we can live too. So when life feels unsteady, release the need to control balance and instead allow harmony to unfold. Thank you so much for being here today and always. If you've enjoyed the show, please share it with your friends. That is how we will continue to grow our community. If you're not following me on socials, what are you doing with your life? Find me. It's Reframing Me everywhere. Until next time, be well and communicate.